The House Ethics Committee released an explosive report detailing its investigation of sexual misconduct allegations against MAGA Republican ex-Representative Matt Gaetz. The Florida Republican abruptly resigned from Congress in November while being considered for Attorney General in the upcoming Trump administration. The 37-page report, released Monday, revealed that Gaetz regularly paid for sex, including with a 17-year-old girl, from at least 2017, when he began serving in the House, until 2020. It also found that he accepted impermissible gifts, including lodging and transportation in 2018 during a trip to the Bahamas. Investigators also concluded that Gaetz used or possessed cocaine and ecstasy between 2017 and 2019. The Ethics Committee, comprised of 5 lawmakers from each party, agreed to release the report despite Gaetz's departure from the chamber. Before the committee made the report public, Gaetz asked a federal judge Monday to block its release. Gaetz, who has denied all wrongdoing, claimed making the report public would violate the committee's internal rules to stop investigating House lawmakers once they leave Congress, violating his constitutional due process. Mustafa, my man. Damn. I mean, bro, as somebody who's been up on the Hill, who's been around these folks in terms of the reports and the process and all of that, what do you make of, one, the fact that they kind of broke a little bit of protocol in publishing this report after he left, and then your thoughts about the overall report in general?
Well, they knew that the report was going to eventually get out. And so they're trying to actually CYA, right? And everybody knows what that actually means, because how do you, as the Ethics Committee, allow an individual who has all these various types of charges against them, all these accusations against them that have been, there's a lot of proof that's there. I'll just say it that way, but we still have to say they're alleged since there hasn't been an actual trial in place. But for the Ethics Committee, right, to actually allow this individual to continue to sit there, to allow someone who has the charges against them of like statutory rape, drug use, illicit uses of funds, all these different types of things that have gotten many members of Congress kicked out. And since I worked there, I've seen some of the things that went on that were very much less egregious than this, and the individuals whose careers were actually destroyed. So that's one side. The other side of it is, let's just have real talk. There is absolutely no way that the Trump administration did not know what was inside of that report. And for them to then be willing to give the opportunity for this individual to have one of the most significant positions inside of an administration with huge amounts of power to even be considered. So that says something about, the Trump administration and where they currently are and the types of individuals. We've seen some of the other folks, of course, who have numerous different types of charges against them, who have all these different allegations that they're dealing with. And then we'll find, we'll close out with him as an individual, and knowing that you are participating in these, allegedly participating in these types of behaviors with underage minors, with drugs, with all these different types of things. You should have removed yourself, one, from the position that Trump was trying to give you. Two, you should have left Congress a long time ago, and not because you got pushed out because you knew this information was finally going to happen. So we already know that if this was a person of color, that they would have run out of town a long time ago, carrying this type of weight and these types of situations that, have caused probably lots of young ladies significant pain, both mentally and all the other things that come along with that, along with just, you just continue to sully what happens on Capitol Hill. It's just amazing that the Ethics Committee would fall so short. I should say I never worked for the Ethics Committee. I did work for John Conyers when he was chairman of the Judiciary Committee, but I had the opportunity to work with all the various committees to understand how they do things, what their mandates are, and to see how far we continue to fall is just mind-blowing.
Well, speaking of judiciary, Joe, we're just talking about laws in general. I'm reading things about something called the CAT Act and about transporting people across borders and the like. Joe, from your legal mindset, how is it that somebody can come this far and not receive any type of charge? We talk about the DOJ and how we feel like they botched this, But this stuff has been known. It was going on for 3-4 years, from cocaine to transporting girls to the 17-year-old. How does this guy go untouched?
You know, it's an interesting question. And Dr. Domingo, to take it to another place, we still might not know if he hadn't done the thing that he did getting rid of Kevin McCarthy. That got him on the wrong side of a few people, not everybody necessarily, but enough where, you know, Republicans got him to eat their own mode. And really, so if it wasn't for that, we still might not know it. He's not the only person in Congress that's dirty. He's not the only person in Congress that likes to have a good time and is crazy and cool and into all of the stuff he's into. That's what is really the shame of it. So it's going to be interesting to see, like, okay, does he still have a career? There's been talk about him, you know, running for Senate to replace Marco Rubio. Would there be support for that? I wouldn't think so. But at the same time, if there's not support for it, it's not necessarily because of what he did. That's what's crazy about it. That's the crazy irony of it, is that he basically aired dirty laundry and getting Kevin McCarthy gotten rid of because Kevin McCarthy was so in the box, et cetera, wanted to be speaker all his life. And because he helped undermine him there's some people that are in that space that are a little less loyal. I think you're right about the CYA piece. But the idea that the reason why he's gotten away with these things as long as he has, if he never gets prosecuted, like right now, some prosecutor in Florida, U.S. attorney, somebody ought to be jumping on this. But with this administration coming in, that's probably not going to happen on the federal side, unless it's a lying guy who probably will get a call directly from Stephen Miller or whoever it is. Or, you know, if it's somebody in the state, well, still kind of DeSantis' state. We'll have to see what happens with that. So if nothing happens, it'll be the same reason nothing has happened, right? Because there's still these guys. You still got the Fox Garden, the hen house on a large scale, and perhaps to their mind, they've already done the retaliatory thing that they were going to do because he was on the wrong side of McCarthy.
So Julian, we have this with Matt Gaetz, and it seems like, going off of what Joe said, it's really, he didn't get pushed out because of all of this stuff. It's just that people didn't like him, which would make sense because Pete Hegseth is still there, who has similar accusations against him. And then you have Robert Kennedy, who has some similar charges against him as well. A little bit different, but things that relate to doing things to women. What are your thoughts about this incoming administration and the character that some of these nominees reflect, as you reflect on this report that was released as well?
Let's just begin at the beginning, which is how many felony convictions, having been convicted of improper sexual behavior towards Eugene Carroll. We can go down a list. So the rot starts at the top and it comes trickling down. The rot is an administration that has no regard for women. In fact, in the middle of all these nominations coming through, I said, isn't a requirement to be a sexual offender in order to be in the Trump cabinet? Wow. Is this something that you must have in your record? Is that why you have so few women and so few black folks in your projected cabinet? It's just a thought. I'm not concluding. I'm not disrespecting. I'm just saying. But in any case, when we look at Gaetz, he has been a flamboyant bad boy, not just a bad boy. I mean, you brothers are going to beat me up, but I basically think that most men are hoes. They can't help themselves. Most men are hoes. Having said,
hey, slow down. Hey,
I've been around the block a few times. I'm just saying, y'all. But most of them are discreet hoes. So everybody that know all their business, this boy was bragging about all the stuff he had been doing. In addition to the fact that he alienates so many people, I'm not surprised they released the report, but note this about releasing the report. At least one Republican had to agree with the Democrats if this was partisan. At least one Republican had to agree. So there's something else going on here. I haven't read the stuff, but I've heard the folks commenting and the conclusions. And they're saying it's one 17-year-old. Well, if there's one, there's probably more than one because, again, hoes don't have no discretion. So they just do what they do to everybody. Look at the incoming president and then go on down the list. Again, I'm glad the report came out. I don't know how much of a difference it will make. I'm concerned that Governor DeSantis I don't know about anything about his business, but I know that he is under the incoming president's thumb. So if the incoming president pushes him to appoint Gaetz, he may do it. You see that Lara Trump has dropped out. She said she wants to be a senator, and now she doesn't. So they're going to give her something. And therefore, that still leaves that space open with a gubernatorial appointment before a special election. So I'm not surprised at anything. Here we go again. The worst part of it, though, is that this rot is not just on the R side. We have similar rot on the D side. And the issue is, how do we get rid of all of the rot so that we can have an efficient, effective government that has integrity? That's the question.
I think that's a great question. As you talk about the rot, it's an increasing charge for journalists to make sure that they're doing their job in 2025. We know there are going to be more attacks on them than ever before. But the reports like this, if they come out based on the investigative work that's done, it can actually embolden a lot of Republicans to actually do the right thing. But something you said, Julian, which concerns me, is that this vote was done anonymously. If it was public, would this report have actually come out? Because some of these Republicans are just spineless. But it's out there, and we have to continue to make sure that we're covering the fallout from this, because they're going to try to sweep it under the rug really quickly. And we don't know where Matt Gaetz is going, but we know that the Black Star Network is going to be following to make sure people know as well.
Hi, I'm Isaac Hayes III, founder and CEO of Fanbase. Fanbase is a free to download, free to use, next generation social media platform that allows anyone to have followers and subscribers on the same page. Fanbase was built through investment dollars from equity crowdfunding from the Jobs Act. People just like you help build Fanbase, and we're looking for more people to help build Fanbase. We are currently raising $17 million in a Regulation A crowdfund on Start Engine. We've already crossed $2.1 million, but we're looking to raise more capital from people just like you that deserve the opportunity to invest in early stage startups without having to be accredited investors. So right now, I'd like you to go to startengine.com/fanbase and invest. The minimum to invest is $399. That gets you 60 shares of stock in Fanbase right now, today. And then use Fanbase to connect with friends, grow your audience, and be you without limits.